So in today's video it's going to be all about the zooming feature with the newly released Action 5 Pro. Now if you follow my channel, I've done an in-depth zooming video with the Action 4 and I've proved that that is just not usable whatsoever, even in 4K. I went through all the resolutions at 1080, 2.7K and finally in 4K, and it's just not usable whatsoever. The footage looks really grainy, and as you zoom in it's very steppy and the picture becomes very grainy and unusable even in 4K. But I suspected that because it's a digital zoom. Now with the Action 5 Pro, I'm hoping DJI has made that zoom a lot more usable. So let's get straight into the video to find out. Here we go. So the subject for today is Sutton Scarsdale Hall just behind me. I've picked this subject because it's going to be great to be zooming in and out with the Action 5 Pro, and then we're going to be able to see the fine detail within the brickwork and architecture as the footage hopefully doesn't fall to bits. And hopefully DJI's upgraded the zoom on this. Although it's digital, I'm hoping it's a lot more usable than the Action 4. So now I'm going to show you how to use the Action 5 Pro zooming feature and where to locate it. Here we go. So to activate the zooming feature on the Action 5 Pro, just go into video mode, and at the bottom right you'll see a ×1 icon. Press and hold that, and then you'll be able to freely zoom in and out, as you can see there. So first of all, let's go into 1080 30 frames per second, standard D-warp. Again, you'll only be able to zoom in 2 times no matter what resolution you're in. So let's start zooming in and out with 1080 30, and then we'll move up to 2.7K 30, and then finally 4K 30. Here we go. Now let's just see if that zooming feature is a lot better than the Action 4. And I can see straight away that they've not improved that step-in motion as I'm trying my very hardest here to be as smooth as I can with that scroll wheel. But as you can see from the footage, it's stepping. But what I've just noticed what the Action 4 didn't have, if I quickly go all the way to 2 times, it kind of does a fluid zoom there. Now that wasn't an option on the Action 4. So it's going to be interesting to see when I get back in post how smooth that does zoom. Although you cannot do it slowly like the Pocket 3, because if I want to do that slowly it starts stepping. But if I quickly go to 1 and then 2, it's like a fluid zoom. So that's going to be interesting to see later. Right, now let's switch over to 2.7K. And now I've switched over to 2.7K, but I'll only be able to digitally zoom 2 times, as I've said previously. So let's tap that icon there, see if it's any better. Again, it's a step-in motion, as you can see. And now I'll quickly zoom to 2 and then back to 1. That's more of a fluid zoom. But unfortunately, it doesn't look that great. But I'm only viewing the OLED screen. I'm going to see more when I get to edit this. So now I've switched over to 4K, and this should be a little bit better than the 2.7K, and a lot better than the HD 1080. So let's just see. Again, I'm going as smooth as I can and as slow as I can. But as you can see from the footage, it's very steppy, just like the Action 4. But when I quickly scroll to 1 and then back to 0, we do actually get a smoother zoom. Although it's at a set speed, you'll not be able to slow that down. Because if you want to slow that down, as you've seen from the first 2 resolutions, it just becomes a lot more steppy. And now I'm vlogging with the Action 5 Pro because, as you can see, it's not a nice day at all. Although it didn't forecast any drizzle, it's starting to drizzle and the visibility is really poor up here. I'm on a quite high elevation as well. That's weather for you though, they hardly get it right. So what did you think to that digital zoom on the Action 5 Pro? Now as I've said before, the Action 4, it was unusable. So it's going to be really interesting when I get back to edit this to see if it's a lot more usable than the Action 4. And with the few updates that DJI's had with the Action 5 Pro, I'm hoping that they've sorted that digital zoom and that scroll wheel. Although I can see it's steppy, I want to see when I zoom from 1 to 2 quickly how good that fluid zoom is. Although I can't slow that down, because when I do, as you've seen, it becomes unusable and steppy. And again, that's just not usable when you're filming. I'm sorry it's not a nice day. The Met Office app did forecast decent visibility. It was a G standing for good visibility, and really it should have been the P for poor visibility, because, well, it is poor to be honest, because just over there lies Bolsover town and Bolsover Castle, and you can barely make that out, and that's exactly 2.2 miles away as the crow flies from this location, and I can barely see that. So Met Office, you're no good. You're always wrong. It should be A for always wrong. Now, in my opinion, never use the zooming feature with the Action 5 Pro. Just film in 4K and then crop in on post if you need to punch in there. And no matter which resolution you're in, the footage is really grainy as you start to zoom in. Now, I would suspect that in 4K, especially with it being just 2 times digital, it would be kind of usable. But as you've seen from the footage, it's just not usable at all. And now I've come inside the building, and I'm only around 3 meters away from this brickwork. So I'm just going to select 4K 30, and then I'm going to zoom in there 1 to 1.5 and then to 2, and then all the way back, because I really want to get another chance. I'm only going to do it in 4K 30, as I've just said, because we've just been through the other resolutions and they're not really great. So let's just keep in 4K 30 and digitally zoom to see if there's any change in the clarity there. Here we go. As you can see, it's a steppy motion yet again. But what's that detail look like? Because this is just a sample test for the clarity. So there, I'm going to keep it at 2 times digital zoom at 4K 30, just to see if that brickwork stands out at all. And that's 1.5 times. And now I'm back at times 1. Again, 1.5. And then all the way at 2 times. So now that I've finished with the zooming feature on the Action 5 Pro, what's your thoughts on the clarity of using that digital zoom? In my opinion, I would never use that digital zoom. If I wanted to zoom in with this Action 5 Pro, I'd just film in 4K and then crop in on post. That way it's a lot better and the clarity's more usable than if you was to use that scroll wheel on the digital zoom. I really do love these historical old buildings, and this particular one, Sutton Scarsdale Hall, is around 350 years old. And apparently, if you Google it, you do get some strange activity here. It's been on Most Haunted as well, that TV programme. And there's only me here, so if you really do listen carefully, we might be able to pick some activity up. Let's just listen. So I hope you've enjoyed this video today and you've got a great insight of the Action 5 Pro's digital zoom there. In my opinion, never use that digital zoom. As you've seen from the footage, that scroll wheel is just unusable, and also no matter what resolution you're in, the footage is grainy and unusable. I like that unusable word a lot today, don't I? So as always, do stay tuned to the channel, as there's going to be plenty more videos on the horizon. But for now, going this way now. But for now, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and bye for now. Got to duck under this.